Another day of New York Jets training camp, another day where the offensive unit seems to struggle. Should New York Jet fans be concerned? We'll talk about that and much more, all coming up here on a Thursday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, joined as always by Jets content creator Mr. Matt O'Leary. Let's go.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Samini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello, everyone, and welcome back here into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk right here on this Thursday evening, July 31st, 2025. I was going to say a beautiful evening, but it's certainly not a beautiful evening for all of those fellow Long Islanders out there with these awful floods that were just hit. I lost power earlier today. I was worried we weren't able to do a show, but power's back on. We're here to do a show. Appreciate you all sticking with us. It's Connor Long right here with you guys on NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate you tuning in. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe. Questions, comments, thoughts, throw those in the chat. Call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Appreciate all of your support as always right here on the show. And joining me right now is indeed a fellow Long Islander, fellow Jets content creator, the great Mr. Matt O'Leary, gracing us with his presence right here on the program. Matt, were you affected by those terrible, terrible storms?
Yeah, it rained pretty good here where I am. Luckily, we didn't lose power, but that was a concern that I had as well. But yeah, a lot of rain today.
Absolutely. I was worried we weren't going to get the show in because I call PSEG. I say, what's the estimate of us getting the power back on? They tell me 6:45. And you know, Matt, if you live on Long Island long enough, National Grid, PSEG, all these places are always a little naive when it comes to giving estimates on getting power back on. So I assume 6:45 would be perceived as 8:30 their time. It ultimately came back on at 5:30, and we're lucky enough to do the show, obviously. Appreciate you all sticking with us right here on the program. Matt, I want to get into the latest news, rumors, updates from Jets training camp, and it appears, obviously, yesterday was an off day for the Jets. Today, the offense seemed to struggle along with Tuesday. Do you think fans should be concerned of, maybe the pace of Justin Fields getting back into the swing of things and the offense's struggles recently?
Not yet. I still think it's too early for a real concern. And, there's going to be days where the defense looks better, and I'm sure there'll be days where the offense looks better. That's just kind of what happens at training camp. The last couple of days, it's been the defense with the edge, it seems. But like I said, if it's a week before the season and we're still talking about, man, this offense still really can't get going, then we could have that conversation. But right now, even before the calendar flips to August, I think that's tough.
Absolutely. And I think when you look at training camp, something to keep in mind here, the quarterback obviously still wearing the red jersey. They're untouchable. You still see these quarterbacks wearing GoPros. It's not a true in-game environment. I think I get a better assessment of things once obviously the joint practices get into full swing. We see the preseason kicks off, which obviously just starts now, just 10 days from now as we sit here on July 31st. So I think you get a better sense of how the offense begins to move when we start to see in-game action, joint practice action. Someone who stuck out on the offensive side of the ball today, left tackle Olu Fashanu. It's always great to see your young and ascending players stick out in training camp. Matt, what do you expect out of this offensive line overall this season? Obviously, you've allocated such highly sought after assets to build this offensive line, whether it's Olu Fashanu on the left side. Obviously, you just selected Armand Membu with the number 7 overall pick this year. You have AVT, who's a former first-round pick. Joe Tippmann, a very high second-round pick, and then a great free agency find in John Simpson. What is the expectation for the offensive line this season?
Yeah, I think they're going to be really good, honestly. I'm buying the stock in the offensive line, especially Olu, and I think what excites me with him, we know he was good in pass pro, but it feels like he's getting better and moving well in the run game. And I just think this line is set up to have success in the run game from, left to right. Across the offensive line. They're all athletic. They all move well in space. And I think that'll open up holes for guys like Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and really get this run game going. So I think it's going to be one of this team's strengths. So I'm not really all that surprised to see that early on in camp, it's been just that, a strength and a very competitive unit.
You talk about Braylon Allen there, Matt, over the 3 training camp practices that I did cover. I spoke very highly of Braylon Allen. I saw a lot of great things from the second year back. What do you think this Jets running back room is going to look like in the essence of a target share? For example, we know it's going to be a carry share, a running back by committee type approach. Aaron Glenn made that clear at the owners meetings. What do you think that, the volume is going to be between Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, obviously Breece Hall? Do you think we can get to a point where Breece Hall and Braylon Allen are essentially splitting reps this season?
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. I still think Breece has slightly more usage, but it's not going to be astronomical. Like if you're looking at all the 3 main running backs and excluding Justin Fields, I think it's probably like 50% Hall, 35% Braylon Allen, and 15% Isaiah Davis, something like that going in throughout the year would be my guess.
Well, Matt, we don't have to worry about Zach Evans anymore and how many carries he's going to be getting because he did retire. And, that's groundbreaking news for the Jets. And that really shakes up the whole running back room. I do find it funny, though, that now 2 years in a row, the Jets have had a running back retire midway through training camp. Tariq Cohen last year, his at least made some sense because he was 30 years old. He dealt with a lot of injuries, but at the same time, the day before he spoke to reporters and he sounded perfectly fine. The Zach Evans retirement came out of nowhere. A 24-year-old who had no noticeable injury issues was a 6th-round pick just a few years ago. So that's something I found interesting. 2 running backs now in consecutive years retiring midway through training camp. I like Isaiah Davis a lot, Matt. I just don't know where he fits in this rushing attack. I think he's kind of a mix between Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, but how impactful is that truly when you have the home run ability, obviously, of Breece Hall and then the power of Braylon Allen? I'm really looking forward to see Braylon Allen and Justin Fields in the same backfield, making opposing defenses worry about Allen's, bowling ball style of rushing, his big frame, and then obviously the agility and speed with Justin Fields. So I'm certainly looking forward to see how the Jets are able to weaponize that to their advantage this season.
Yeah, for sure, right? And, Breece Hall with his pass catching ability, that he's going to be involved, not just as a runner. And I would imagine that we're going to see a lot of 2-back sets, and it could be one of them lined up, Breece Hall lined up as a receiver and Braylon Allen next to Justin Fields in the shotgun or something like that. But I just think it allows for the Jets offense to, get creative here.
I think this is what Jet fans want to hear, Matt. Terry McLaurin requests a trade out of Washington. I think it's crazy, but I know Jet fans out there watching the show want to hear this. Are the Jets in any world a team in play to try to compile a package to land Scary Terry?
No. And I had a tweet because Twitter was going nuts after the news broke. So I had to throw my 2 cents in, and I'll essentially read what I wrote and see kind of what your take is. And I said, Terry McLaurin is very good. The Jets are not very good at receiver. However, Terry McLaurin needs a new contract. Trading for a wide receiver and paying him $35 million a year 2 weeks after extending Garrett Wilson doesn't really make sense.
Verbatim of what I was thinking in my head. We're very on par with these thoughts, and I completely agree with that. I would love nothing more than to add Terry McLaurin on this team. Does it make sense to pay 2 wide receivers potentially around $300 million over the next 4 years each? I don't think it makes sense at all, especially when you look at a guy like Terry McLaurin, who is getting up there in age still. If this team, Matt will say, if this was last year, I would have been making the case to go in for Terry McLaurin 1,000%. If we were in the same situation last year and Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback and he still had Saleh as the head coach and was that all-in window, I would have said absolutely make a move for Terry McLaurin. But the way this team is constructed, the way this team has spent money this offseason, I don't think it makes sense to add Terry.
No, I don't think so either. And what message does that send to Garrett Wilson, right? Like, I'm sure they were pitching him, you're our guy, you're our number one, we want to treat you right. And then 5 minutes later, they give up draft capital to get another wide receiver in here and then pay him more money essentially per year at least than Garrett. And I get it too. Like, I've gotten pushback saying, short-term deal before the contract even kicks in for Garrett, but it's really more like the optics of it. And I don't know, do you want to give up draft capital in a draft where you might have to move up to get a quarterback? There's just so many factors. I don't think it makes sense.
Absolutely. And obviously both Garrett and Terry went to Ohio State. And from a Commander's perspective, does it make sense to deal Terry? In my opinion, not one bit at all. They have all the leverage here. He still has 1 year left on his deal. I mean, my concern is this: if I was a Commanders fan, my concern would be this kind of spiraling into what happened with Hassan Reddick and the Jets.
Mm.
I said this time last year, there's no way Hassan Reddick carries a holdout into the regular season. He carried it into week 8 of the regular season, the day of the Jets Sunday night football game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was, my opinion, the worst game of the year for the Jets. Hassan Reddick agreed on terms. So the Commanders have all the leverage here. Terry McLaurin is getting up there in age. It's not like he's fresh off his rookie deal and he's looking for a second contract. What is he? He's about to turn 30 years old, Matt, in September, I think it is. So he's well up there in age. How many options does he have? How much leverage do the Commanders have? There's certainly a lot more leverage for the Commanders than options Terry McLaurin has, as he currently, again, still has 1 year left on his deal. It's not like he's a free agent and he's not under contract with anyone. Still has 1 year left on his current contract. Matt, the defensive side of things for the Jets, Quinnen Williams went down with an injury today. Surprisingly, there wasn't much talk about that injury with reporters, when Aaron Glenn addressed reporters at the podium later that day. Any concern with what you've seen from Quinnen Williams today from an injury standpoint?
Not really. I don't think how they've handled it doesn't make me think that it's going to be anything serious. And, similar to our Justin Fields conversation, it's still very early in camp. So, take it slow with him. Like, if he's not out there tomorrow for practice, like, I don't think it's really a huge deal. You don't want to rush it back with a calf injury and, risk hurting it worse. So keep it light for Quinnen. That'd be my plan for now, and just bring him back slowly.
Which interior defensive lineman, Matt, is starting next to Quinnen snap 1 of week 1 of the 2025 NFL season for the New York Jets?
I am planting my flag in Byron Cowart's camp. That's my guy. Byron Cowart had a strong mini camp in OTAs, and he's been running with the ones a lot with Quinnen Williams in training camp. So would I rather him as more of a rotational guy? Yes, of course. But of the options they have, it feels like he's the top guy right now.
Interesting. You know who I'm planting my flag in, Matt? Peyton Page, UDFA out of Clemson, someone I spoke about at first glance in May. I really like Page. He's not as much of a pass rusher. He doesn't give you as much pass rush upside as some of those other guys do, but they need someone who could space seat. They need someone who could take attention off Quinnen Williams. He's a UDFA. I wrote about it for Gen X, though, the other day. It's not crazy to say that Peyton Page could be starting on the interior of this line come week 1. There's not much competition. There's not much proven talent. You have Derek Nandi. He's been inconsistent at best. He hasn't stuck out in training camp. In Rich Cimini's first 53-man roster prediction, Derek Nandi didn't even make the roster. So I don't expect Derek Nandi to be that guy. I'm planting my flag on 6'4", 300-pounder Peyton Page here, Matt.
I like that one. He's someone that the coaches, I feel like, have spoken pretty highly of so far. And it's fun. Like, this is that time of year, right, where the guys that you didn't think would have much of an impact make a fight and make a push to make the team. That'd be really cool. I'm in on the Peyton Page praise here.
I love Leonard Taylor III, but you can't start 2-3 techs on the interior, Matt.
Yeah, and I think he's more of a pass rusher at this point. Like, I don't think he's good enough against the run yet where you can play him on early downs.
He's also 296 pounds, too. I think you need someone a little bigger. I think he's 6'1", 296 or something like that. Go poach Desmond Watson off the Bucks practice squad. I'm sure he wants to practice the New York Jets. So let Desmond Watson practice and give him an opportunity. Have you seen that on social media recently, Matt? The Bucks not letting Desmond Watson practice.
He's just been walking around with a weighted vest. That's the clips that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, if I were him, I would start looking for another opportunity, because it's like, as a UDFA, obviously, if you're all the odds stacked against you, you need to start playing if you want to be on an NFL team. But at the same time, I mean, what is he, 464 pounds, I think is what he last weighed in. So, yeah, I don't know if it's safe for him to be playing football at that current weight. But yeah, Desmond Watson walking around the Bucks practice facility. Hey, New York Jets, go get a run stuffer. You need somebody. Matt, you can't tell me that this guy can't stop the run. If he's 464 pounds, he has to be able to stop the run better than pretty much every single New York Jets defensive tackle except Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to beat the guy in front of him, and he's in the backfield. And where's the running back going to go? Right? It's hard to get around the guy like that. So, yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from on that. I think he is going to be, Vince Wilfork like if he does have a role in this league.
Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Matt O'Leary, Connor Long with you guys right here on the show. Questions, comments, thoughts, throw those in the chat. You can call into the show with the pinned comment. 9 minutes, Matt, until football is back. Trey Lance versus Hendon Hooker. What an interesting matchup. The Hall of Fame game, obviously, Los Angeles Chargers facing off against the Detroit Lions. So good to see football back. Official games. Yours in the chat. What's up? You appreciate you tuning in. Our guy Jake Gasman drops in with a $2 super chat. Shout out to you, Jake. Appreciate your support as always. Says the show must go on. The show must go on indeed, Jake. Appreciate the $2. Thank you so much for all your support. As always, Rep NY says McLaurin will be a Titan. Interesting take there.
I don't know. I mean, well, you can make the argument that they need to surround their first overall pick with more talent. I see that, but I don't know if they're in a spot yet where they're going to be trading draft capital. That might be another year out.
Again, 30-year-old Terry McLaurin, what is he going to do to help them?
I see if that Cam Ward's the guy or not, but I think that's
the Texans.
Texans, okay.
Chargers, maybe. Chargers, what I saw in the betting odds. I just thought Texans off the top of my head. Chargers are interesting, I guess, because they have Ladd McConkey and who else? So Texans, I think the Texans would make the most sense, Matt, because I think they have a quarterback who they're ready to contend with the exception of obviously a sophomore slump last year. CJ Stroud was still an effective quarterback in the league. You're still able to win playoff games with him. I think the Texans are a team that just needs another wide receiver, and McLaurin could be that guy.
Yeah, what about like
Baltimore? I see.
Baltimore's
Gil
a good
drop Baltimore in the chat. That's one. They have They have D Hop. They have Bateman. Like, would they really want to add him?
New England with Drake May. I know they brought in Stephon Diggs, but I'm not really a believer in Stephon Diggs in 2025. That could be one.
I think New England's gonna have a great year personally, and it pains me to say that as a Jet fan. I haven't gone 9-8 this season, so Terry McLaurin would only help that odds. Matt, where do you stand on divisional predictions this season from a record standpoint?
I think Buffalo runs away with the division. I think
like 12, 13 wins.
Yeah, like 12 or 13. I think New England is an 8 or 9 win team.
Yep.
I think the Jets are a 7 or 8 win team, and I think Miami's around the same.
So interesting. We're pretty similar there. I have the Bills going 13-4. I have the Patriots going 9-8. I have the Jets going 8-9, and I have the Dolphins going 6-11. I think if the Jets can win 8 games, I have them winning 8 games, and I think an 8-win season would certainly be very exciting.
It would. I would sign up for an 8-win season in a heartbeat. And the sad thing is, Jet fans would be celebrating that because that would be the highest win total since 2015?
Yes, since they haven't won more than 7 games in a decade. I mean, they haven't won more than 7 games since I've been watching football. So, come on, give me a game that I can like more than the Week 2 clash against the Cleveland Browns, where the Jets won off an onside kick essentially and drove downfield and scored that touchdown. Give me a better game that to call my favorite game when people ask me what's my favorite Jet game of all time, just given all the pain and suffering the fans of this organization have had to go through. Leppy says we are good at wide receiver. Fields doesn't look to more than 2 reads anyways.
Plus, I don't know if a wide receiver 2, like they're not going to have 2 1,000-yard receivers, right? It's not going to be like Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker in 2015. This offense is going to be heavy Garrett Wilson. Then you're going to have Breece Hall, Mason Taylor, and that next crop of guys for receptions. And then probably Josh Reynolds after that. And then beyond it, like, how many targets is the 5th guy in the pecking order really going to get this year? It's not going to be a lot.
I like Josh Reynolds, Matt. Like, I think he's a good high character guy. I think on a good team, he's a very, very low end 3 and like a middle of the road wide receiver 4. Or like a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. I'm concerned with these pass catchers right now behind Garrett Wilson. I'm looking at Arian Smith as the one who steps up and makes an impact on this team, but you can't expect that. You can't expect a 4th round rookie who you reached on significantly to be your wide receiver 2.
No, absolutely not. And I just think it's more so about the experience in the offense that Reynolds has that is putting him number 2. I agree with you. I think on a on a better team, he's probably a third or fourth option. But unfortunately, the Jets, after Garrett, they don't have a ton of great options. So it's probably going to be him as the number 2 guy.
It's so disappointing. Luppy, thoughts on Clemens, why he's still on the team? Coaching staff loves him. They love him. I think Robert Saleh on the way out was like, you got to show. I mean, does he have compromising pictures of Woody Johnson or Christopher Johnson or Jaime Elhai or the director of security? Everyone who's been here for 20 plus years in this organization. I don't know, Matt, but I don't love it. I don't love it. I said if he was able to put on 20 pounds and slide it on as interior depth, I would have liked it a lot more. They're talking about, Steve Wilkes spoke about developing today. The guy's turning 28 years old in under half a year. You can't develop someone at 28 years old. Give me a break here, Matt.
I know. He was like 25 years old when he came out of college. He is what he is. Yeah. Unfortunately, edge is a spot outside of the top 2 guys where they're a little weak depth-wise. And with Jermaine Johnson out right now, Clemens is running with the ones. So he's going to make this team. It's not something that I agree with. I'm not really a big Michael Clemens guy, but he's going to be here. So hopefully they get something out of him.
I like Eric Watts. Give Eric Watts an opportunity. He was efficient in minimal opportunities last season. Or, I spoke Nick Folk into existence as I was talking about that since March. Someone else I've been talking about since March is Za'Darius Smith. Why does he still remain available? I don't know. Played in Aaron Glenn's system last year. Like, Matt, there are so many veterans out on this market who I just think would make so much sense. I don't care if Za'Darius Smith's over 27 years old and hasn't had the Jets don't like to pay aging guys. He can help this team win now and make a significant impact on the pass rush. I still don't understand why New York hasn't made a move on any of these proven guys.
And Za'Darius Smith played with Aaron Glenn last year too in Detroit for a little bit. So that's one that I point to a lot as well, because it's a need, number 1, and then number 2, he has familiarity with the scheme.
Absolutely. Brian Glick, we have Folking kicker. There we go. He's good to see him back on the practice field today, Matt. He went 6 of 6. Michael Nania pointed out something very interesting that I didn't even notice in our Jets X Factor Slack today. And he said, why do kickers only kick 6 field goals of practice? Shouldn't they be out there kicking the whole time? He said it's not like they're throwing 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. So I do think kickers should be kicking more than 6 field goals today. And it was a solid showing for Folk, 2 from beyond 50. He went 6 of 6. Can't say the same about the thicker kicker. He went 4 of 6. I noticed, though, Matt, being at these practices, the thicker kicker looked like he lost some weight. So maybe that loss of weight has contributed to his training camp struggles.
It could be. Honestly, maybe he needs the weight for the power to put that thing through the uprights. That's a good call out. I like that that Slack combo, right? They have a million practice fields. Why can't they kick, all the way down on the, the third practice field? I don't know. Kick 30 times a day, whatever you need.
Exactly. I don't get it. Do you think this is a true competition, Matt, between Folk and I asked that to Connor Hughes last night, who joined us last night on the show, and he said, I don't think 40-year-old Nick Folk would essentially come out of retirement to compete with 24-year-old Haverson Mevis.
Yeah, he's gonna win the job. They might frame it as a competition, but this is unless Nick Folk just completely bombs in the preseason, which I don't see, he's gonna be the kicker.
And I wish the reporters could ask Aaron Glenn that, but I was at the press conference when they asked him about the Josh Myers Tippmann competition with 6 different follow-ups, and all he says, no matter what, is there's competition at every position. So I think we can just kind of get the inkling that it's most likely Folk's job, but Aaron Glenn will obviously frame every single position group as a competition. Julian says, does Peyton Page, the UDFA, have a good chance to make an impact on the Jets? Why not?
Yeah, that's your guy, dude.
That's my guy. I mean, why can't he? This room is wide open. This is the year where everyone can make an impact. Every single player on this roster, every single UDFA has a chance to make an impact on this team. Matt, how many UDFAs are on this team's roster? I think there was 3 last year, all on the defensive line. What do you got this year?
That's a really good question. It's probably going to be about the same, maybe 2 is my guess. Like, is Pritchett one of them as a UDFA returner? That'd probably be my guy. Peyton Page is another one. That might be the second. Beyond that, I think it's going to be tough. Are there any other names that you think maybe have a chance?
I think Quentin Skinner from Kansas. I just don't see where I just don't see room for him on the 53, especially if you
Right.
keep Pritchett. Like Quentin, someone I've spoken to before, super high character guy. Love Quentin Skinner. And he's a great player. He averaged over 20 yards a reception last year, had a 50% contested catch rate at Kansas, 6'4", 175 pounds, like big body guy, can get you contested catches, big yak guy. And why not? Because I don't think it makes sense to carry both Josh Reynolds and Alan Lazard. I really don't. What's the point of having two veteran receivers who are blockers at this stage of their career? It doesn't make sense, Matt. I think you roll with Reynolds and move on from Lazard.
I would do that as well. And it just feels like Lazard's had a very quiet camp. I feel like we haven't heard his name a ton through the first week and a half. So I don't really know what their plan is with Alan Lazard.
And Jay Lauren, they might think that with coaching, Clemens might fulfill his promise. If he doesn't, they can cut him.
Yeah, they could, right? Like, I guess they could theoretically cut him. I'd be surprised at this point if he was cut. I think he's going to play a decent amount.
How many defensive linemen do you see them carrying? 9, 10 in that range? One of the two?
Yeah, probably 9, I think. And he would be edge 3, which again is a scary thought, but
God.
it's probably him and Tyler Barron as the 4th, and then interior Quinnen, Cowart, Leonard Taylor,
Page,
maybe Page and Noddy.
Okay.
5 interior, 4 edges.
I would say, and then the thing is, I think you have the 3 edges, the 3 UDFAs who made the team last year: McGregor, Watts, and Taylor. Those are the 3 UDFAs. I think you get Eric Watts and Brady McGregor back on your practice squad without a team trying to make them, spots on their 53. I think you can get those guys on your practice squad without having to worry. I think a lot of it's also a game of who's going to pick up who when it comes to constructing these 53-man rosters. Maybe the Jets, for example, Xavier Gipson. Maybe the Jets really like Xavier Gipson, which I don't know how you could love him. He's been very inefficient in select opportunities when it comes to punt returning, except obviously the 9-11 hero game. But maybe the Jets really like him. But for example, they say Brandon Smith. We're worried that Brandon Smith is going to get poached onto another 53. So then they keep Smith on the 53 and then, kind of shelter Gipson on the practice squad. That's just an example there. Obviously just chose 2 wide receivers who are competing for roster spots. So that's certainly something they could do. It's obviously a game with that as well. Matt, do we have time for a couple more questions here before we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's do a couple more.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Rick Kent. I haven't heard Stone Smart's name at all either. Anything there, Matt?
I haven't. Have you? I mean, you were there more than me. I only was at the one practice on Saturday, but I don't remember seeing much of him at all.
No, nothing from Stone Smart. I saw Taylor have a great practice on Friday. That's where Mason Taylor caught my eye. Ruckert had an awful drop. Tight ends, really nothing. Neil Johnson, who, Matt, I can confirm Neil Johnson is a real player. I was questioning whether he was real or not because I've never seen him before. He's never appeared. He was on the practice squad apparently all of last year. I've never seen him before. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page, but I can confirm that Neil Johnson is a real player and is not a Knoble for all we thought.
Knoble from college.
Knoble from college. Neil Johnson from University of Louisiana. That's a fact that I picked up.
There we go.
Where he went to college. So Neil Johnson, Stan, right here on the show. Rick, again, Brandon Smith did the same stuff last year, makes great catches in practices and preseason games, but won't make the team. You guys are probably too young to remember David Clowney. But
I remember David Clowney. Come on, I'm not that young. I've been around a while.
I don't remember why. I obviously was not alive to watch David Clowney, but I do know who David Clowney is. He bounced around. I remember him from the Panthers. Am I crazy, Matt? Was he a Panther?
He might have been. Now I got to look it up. I think he was like 2008, 2009-ish in that range.
Yeah, he was with the Panthers for one season. I don't know what it is. I remembered him as a Panther. 2010 as he spent the year with the Panthers. So there it is. Interesting.
He had a touchdown in 2009 with the Jets.
There we go. Amityville native, Matt, Strong Island. There we go.
Oh, I didn't even know that. A couple times.
2 Jets receivers from Amityville. Him and Rob Carpenter is also from Amityville. So there we go. David Clowney the pride of Amityville, New York. We'll end with this one here. Luppy says, how big of an influence does Mike Westhoff have on the special teams?
Hopefully a lot. I mean, he's one of the best special teams coaches of all time. I know he was there this week, and I'm sure that he gave his stamp of approval on Banjo. So hopefully a lot would be my answer.
And obviously Chris Banjo, one of his proteges, so he's taking over the job. He's relatively young as well. I mean, Thomas Hennessy is older than Chris Banjo. Banjo's only, 35 years old it is currently. So he's young. Hopefully he took a page out of Westhoff's book while he was here. There's no negative from that. That's the way I look at it. There's no negative having one of the greatest special teams coordinator of all times in your practice facility, obviously. So training camp continues to progress as we recap it here every single day on the show. Preseason kicks off 10 days from now. Appreciate you all tuning in. All 94 of you guys right here in the building. Smash the like button and hit subscribe, completely free, and it helps us grow significantly. Almost at 2K. We were on pace to hit it before the draft, and then the dead period exists. So now we slowed down. We're trying to hit 2K. We are only 3 subscribers away from 1.9K. So let's get to 2,000 subscribers. Appreciate all your support. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe. Matt, great to be back with you. We do the show weekly, but we haven't been on in, 5 weeks? My fault for 3 of the weeks. We had a conflict last week. Good to be back with you, my friend.
Yeah, it was great. I love chopping up Jets football with you, so happy to be back.
Matt, you're the best. Make sure to subscribe, Matt, if you haven't already, at Matt O'Leary NY on all social media. Appreciate you all joining us right here on the show. The game is underway, I believe, between the Los Angeles Chargers and the Detroit Lions. So football is back, baby. Enjoy it. Appreciate all your support. He's Matt O'Leary. I'm your host, Connor Long, signing off right here on NY Flight Jets Talk. Everyone, have a great night. And as always, JTS, baby. Jets, Jets, Jets. Peace out.